If you'd like to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button to stay on top of the market news. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMtrading. Today's May 28, 2020, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, oil takes an about face and sells off. But before we get into that, let's discuss the economic events of the day. So we're going to be starting out with the United States at 2:30 South African time. Preliminary Quarterly GDP numbers coming out. Now, this is a really important number because if the GDP in 2 quarters is negative, those are recessionary fears, and I think it's confirmed by the 3rd quarter of a negative GDP. So something to consider going into today's trading. A lot of traders are going to add a lot of weight to this number coming out. Now, looking at the markets, looking at the currencies, Euro finally plays catch up and breaks resistance at this 109-ish level. The Dow Jones forges ahead above 25,500 before this number. And looking at the commodities, gold pretty much wavers while oil sold off, as we mentioned earlier. And lastly, looking at the stocks, bank stocks continued their upward momentum. The question is, will they fizzle? And tech stocks took a little bit of a rebound yesterday. But let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're starting here with the Euro USD at a 4-hour chart. And you guys can see we've been in this range between this 109.76-ish level and 107-ish level since April 3rd. Okay, so over almost 2 months, we've been trading within this range. And finally, we broke above the resistance-ish level on 109.97-ish level. And the question is how far can we go on the upside? So let's look at a daily chart just to give us perspective. So we could even, if this stays above this 110-ish level and holds it, we could even make it to this 111-ish level, okay? But this is finally playing catch-up, okay? I mean, the GBP was ahead of the euro for a couple of days until this finally woken up and took us higher. And looking at the GBP, actually faltering, okay? Selling off. So a little bit of disconcerting because I would have expected for it to hold, okay? At least this 122-ish level, 84, but it's just trading right below it, and it did breach it, but it did use this 121.95-ish level as a support-ish level, and we bounced above it. So I'm not reading too much into this because it is summer trading, and usually Forex symbols are a little bit lighter in the summer, so just be aware of that going into today. Now looking at the Rand, okay, we mentioned this, and it's trickling down, just taking little steps. Now is at support-ish level, okay, at this 1726-ish level. So if it doesn't breach it, we could see it trade within a range. If it does breach the 1726, then bottoms up, we could get back to the 16. So something to consider going into today's trading. Now looking at gold, not doing much, trading above the 1700, okay, bouncing up above it at 1718 right now. And remember, resistance is really 1741. Even though we've breached it on the upside, we didn't maintain it. So we're still holding the 1741 as a resistance-ish level. Now looking at oil, just bouncing now this morning, but it did take a turn for the worse. Okay, altogether, we traded further down here after this massive correction that we had. Okay, but nothing really to write home about. We're still trading between this 31.19 and 34.47, depending on how the easing of the lockdowns is going to come about. Okay, I mentioned this before. Some people asked me in last night's webinar, when do I think that price of oil is going to go above $40? I think it's going to take some time. Okay, it's not going to be something that's going to be overnight. So with this said, this may carry the Dow Jones further down. Okay, in anticipation there'll be a correction in the market. Now looking at the Dow Jones, we're trading at 26,695. It's like as if there's no top to this. Okay, what I did mention that we may find ourselves closing this gap at 26,387-ish level. Okay, this was the gap down, and this is the gap. So this may actually be a significant resistance-ish level if we do hit it later today. Okay, so something to consider going into today's trading, as this has massively made such a massive move over the past week, over 1,000 points. Okay, so something to consider going to today's trading. Now again, it's all speculative right now because we're not sure how the easing of the lockdown is going to happen. We're not sure how much of the businesses are going to rebound so quickly. There's a lot of factors to consider into today's session. Okay, now looking at some of the stocks, we're looking at the individual stocks. Apple rebounded a little bit yesterday to 317, getting strong after hitting that 1313-ish level, but still trading in a range. Now, Amazon still trading in a range, not breaking above that $2,500. Microsoft, also the same thing, 181. If we look at Facebook, it's the same story, rebounding just a little bit, but nothing really to write home about, which is kind of lack direction right now. I mean, I don't have anything, breaking new highs and, it's so strong that it's, there's going to be a correction in the market and the market's going to catch up to it. It's just a rotation. Now, looking at JP Morgan, we did hit $101 a share and then selling off a little bit here. I think we're going to continue trading within this range. I think the upper range is going to be around this 103-ish level. Okay, if we don't break above it, we're going to sell off. Now, looking at Cisco, okay, which is a very important component of the NASDAQ. Okay, it's a high-tech stock, and you see that it's rebounding at $45 a share. Now, before this debacle, okay, if we go back to February, we were trading around the 47, 48-ish level, and we're almost there. We're not there yet, but we're almost there. Okay, so significant resistance here at the $45, $46 range. Okay, so something to consider as well, because if this does not break this area, okay, and doesn't break above this 46, we could see a correctional move. Now, we're waiting for that correctional move because we're not sure yet, okay, how the market's going to return back to quote-unquote normal. So with that said, just be cautious on the upside, okay? It does look like it's, it has that lack of direction right now just because the stocks are not going higher, but the futures are going higher. And so it, either we're going to play catch up to the stocks, and the stocks are finally going to catch up to the index, or the index is going to correct itself. So something to consider going to today's trading. That's probably the most important point of today's session. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.